sustainability in supply chains is no longer optional. Sustainability is a business imperative. Sustainability is the business strategy. And I think if you're here today, you already know somehow that this has to happen. I work for a maritime company called Wilhelmsen Ship Service as head of procurement. And today I will just give you a brief presentation of what is a sustainable supply chain. But before I do so, I would like to remind us that supply chains have become very, very complex, have never been that complex. Why are they complex? First of all, because they are long. Most supply chains are more than 5 tiers, and actually, I think in automotive, up to 12 tiers of suppliers. Supply chains are long. Supply chain of globals. Global supply chains mean they're like components moving from one side of the world multiple times during the end-to-end supply chain. And why is sustainability a challenge in supply chain? Is because of the current structure, which is linear. So linear supply chain means like from extraction of raw material all down the track to multiple factories to the consumer, and then creating waste and emissions. But the good news is in every stage of the supply chain, there is some potential for sustainability. So when I reflect about what is sustainable supply chains, I sort of articulated it in around four pillars, let's say. So my first pillar is around energy and decarbonization. We talked about it. This is really the number one, if there is one to remember. And for that, I think 2 efforts have to happen. One is around energy efficiencies. And so we're going to hear today about energy efficiencies in warehousing, in cold chain, later tonight as well. There is a masterclass on the tech, how is AI enabling energy efficiencies. Basically, this is to burn less, right, for the same outcome. Burn less is one effort. The second effort in parallel is to burn clean, and that will be by the transition away from conventional fuel and to adopt low carbon fuel. The second pillar is around resources and circularity. So today, most supply chains are linear. Actually, 91%, only 9% is circular. So we really need to turn the dial and to increase the portion that is not extracting new resources and not creating any more waste. So for that, there is definitely some work on the product design. Design from recycled, design for repairability, design for for a new life, not to say end of life. So there is work on the product design. There is maybe an invitation also for organizations to rethink the definition of waste. Perhaps actually waste we could consider as a byproduct. And so stop calling it waste, call it byproduct, and find a new stream, a new supply chain where it can be of value. And the third one, because I know we have some logistics company in the room, circularity can only scale up once we have the reverse logistics that is also developed. So how can we return the products? Like the logistics today is really thought from one direction, one flow. It has also to build the reverse logistics to enable circularity. We have a panel later today on circularity in supply chain. My third pillar is around people and communities. So obviously our supply chains are made of people. The people in our supply chains, obviously we want workers to work in a health and safety environment, but more importantly with like basic fundamental human rights. And there is a talk also later today on human rights in value chain that is very impactful. Also the impact we have on communities and how we can engage with communities all along our supply chain. We have a talk on how Australia is engaging with indigenous communities and suppliers. My last pillar would be something that has grown in me recently, and I think now it's equally as important, is to build supply chains that can adapt and that are resilient to climate change. So we can talk about physical risks, such as So we'll hear tonight about PSA and what they do, the Port Singapore Authority, how they future-proof the coast of Singapore for sea rise level, and basically how our supply chains needs to be more agile and transparent to enable this managing the climate change risks all along. I think that's all for me. I just want to say that each one of us, we have a strong power. We have a power to change ourselves. We have a power in our own companies. Everyone has a sphere of influence. In supply chain, we have a huge power to influence the entire supply chain that we are connected with. And one power that we all have, and that's what I'm doing today, is the advocacy, is to raise awareness and continue to talk about how important it is to embrace sustainability today. This is for a bright future for all.